come from. So the two women who, Alicia and Samantha, who work in the production studio, I set up these strips for them. Well, they're really just layers of silk screening, and Samantha cuts them for me. So then I could take one of these. Here, follow me back to this piece. And I can put it into the piece.
Yeah.
But so here's an interesting thing in terms of art process. I don't know what other people think about art process. Like I don't know what people think of it, but for me, I was just explaining this to my husband yesterday. If I want to work on this piece, I have to be thinking a week ahead about what I need. So
Yeah.
Was the screen printing done? Was the sewing done? Was the layering done? Was the cutting of the strips done? Are the colors I need done? And then when I have that inventory, that's kind of like your palette, then I can come over here and work on the piece until I run out of this stuff, and then I have to start that process again. So I always have to think ahead.
Well, that's a perfect way to think about it. It's
It's
your palette.
cyclical, and it
Or
is
your
my palette.
So
So I might be out of what I need for here, but maybe I have what I need for here. Or if I have nothing for either of them, then we'll walk across the studio now and I'll show you two other pieces that I'm working on.
yeah, you gotta show us the huge one with all the movement in it.
Yeah.
Cobra, I'd really like you to just take it from here and explain what's going on. It's your thing.
This is the first of the 5 vessels, and I'm just going to show for the audience. Let's just peel that back. So these are made with
Styrofoam.
styrofoam that Dana makes this part and this part, and then we can pull this back. And then what I'm starting to work on in the preliminary way is what feathers am I going to put on this piece. And I thought for this piece we're going to use the feathers, the feather shapes that I do, but like in courses, like that. And then the courses will slowly...
Yeah, I was noticing how you measured them out here, being all organized.
Will then, you know...
Kind of like a bird.
Like a bird. So I'm still working out colors, and there's just a lot of little things to work out here. And then what I was
Is this
thinking,
wired?
Yes. Well, maybe later we can zoom in over here. I'll talk you to. But I was thinking to make, you know how a bird the neck of the bird has little feathers often, like a pheasant or something. So I was thinking of having the neck.
Yes. Oh, the neck of the...
Here,
Yeah.
something like that with these little round feathers. So that's what we're working
Well,
with.
yeah, and these will look a lot better in this space than a long piece.
Exactly, and I think it will
Yeah, gives that
really
feel.
shape
Yeah,
the neck
I like
of the
it.
piece.
I like it.
So that's the plan for this. And these little cute things are just scraps from other feathers that we've cut. So nothing goes to waste. We have very little trash that gets generated. So I'll send, so the ladies like to have homework.
Ah, yes.
In Spanish it's tarea. So they take a bag of little scraps, and I'll say, I want some round feathers. So they go home and they like cut me, you know, lots and lots of round feathers. So that's the plan for this. And then we'll do a close-up in a little while, but I'm
because
I'm
really
cutting
adds so
into
much.
this. I'm like slicing into the feathers and adding some of
That
this.
adds a lot.
So I think this is going to end up being a very, very, very textured piece.
Yeah.
And I want to add a still later of a basket that I did several years back. It's a small basket, but I'll send you, or Sandra will, an image of it, and you'll see where this came from. You'll see what the relationship is. So that's like super exciting. And actually, here's something that I want to show you. Stay right, well, you can circle around. Remember I showed you a few minutes ago all those little cut strips of the feathers? They come from these.
Okay.
So this is what I prepare
Yeah.
and actually sew this if this is what I want.
Right.
And then they cut
Right?
the feathers. So this is so many steps. So many steps. It's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, just the printing was so many steps.
Right. There's
And then
the
sewing them
printing.
together and then the cutting.
Whoa,
That's
whoa, let's back up.
before
There's
you
the
even start.
fusing of the
Yeah.
plastic
Yeah.
bags.
Gee.
There's the priming of the plastic bags. Then there's they have to be trimmed. Then there's the printing. Then, oh, they have to trim the printing. That's where the trimming comes in. Then we send it out to a sewer who makes those like roundy kind of shapes on it. That comes back. And then, let's see, then I set up the strips that I want sewn. Say I want several of these sewn together. So I set those up and they go to a different sewer for this sewing.
Okay.
Again, I can sew, I've sewn my whole life. But that's not how I want to spend my time right now.
That's right. You
You
have to
know,
set priorities.
I have to set priorities, and it means there's 2 other sewers in the neighborhood who get paid 5 pesos a piece for whatever they're
Oh,
doing.
look how the threads are hanging from this.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. So there's that. Then I set up the layers. Then she does her cutting. You know, there's just a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of steps before I can stick it on the wall.
Yeah, it's like preparing your paint.
It's just like almost like from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This piece.
Oh, yeah, this is the one I
This
really...
is a big piece.
I want to make sure everybody sees this.
So
I'm just going to move
maybe
out of the way and let you go.
In a minute, you can zoom in here. Not right now, but up here you can see a sketch. And this sketch, and we'll zoom in on it in a second, is what this piece is planned on, and it's based on the map of a Mexican state called San Luis Potosi. And you'll see there's map, and then I flip the map to get this sort of serpentine shape.
Yeah.
So this is done in 3 pieces. A lot of my work is done, not only do we make little components, but we make big components. So for example, this piece here, you can see this. See how this is overlapping?
Yes.
So this is a section, that's a section, and then there's another section. So when I need to ship the piece, I only need a crate that's this big.
Yes.
Not like that big. That would
Right.
be insane. So
Or like the vessels we're creating.
the vessels is the same idea.
Humongous has to be at least 3
Humongous is
pieces
gonna be
to
3
be able to go
pieces.
through a door.
Exactly. So I have to think ahead, way ahead. Shipping, get through the door, get in and out of the studio. This piece that we just looked at, part of it came up the stairs, but the top of it couldn't fit up the stairs, and so it had to come up over the side of the house onto the patio and into the studio.
Oh, we have to put a picture of that in the video.
I
too.
actually have a little video of that.
Good,
Of it
yeah.
coming in.
Good.
Both,
yeah.
coming in and coming up. So it's cool, but I have to think really ahead,
Yeah.
you know, to plan ahead for these things. So this piece will eventually, all of this out here is going to be cut away. You're only going to see this part of the piece. So it will be very, you know, serpentine.
Yeah.
I am going
Undulating.
to, very much undulating.
Yes.
I am going to leave some of the background showing, which feels a little scary, but I'm going to do it. And I think it will be the
Are
better.
you getting
for it.
most of the piece, Louise? Oh, good.
He's got the whole piece, that's great.
Good. Good.
And here you can see those little round
Yes.
feathers again.
Like coin feathers.
Yeah. So that was a new innovation, and this piece
Mm-hmm.
was to do feathers of a different size, and I'm very happy with that. And then I did these feathers, which are a little smaller than the regular size. So there's
Yes.
more variation in this piece.
Yeah, I'm loving this piece.
You are?
Yeah, I really am.
And the other thing that I'm loving about this piece is I'm threading this turquoise color. I'm slowly threading. So here's a little area of it.
Yes.
But then I'm threading it through the piece to create more,
Yes, continuity.
to draw the eye in
Yes,
and around in the
yes.
piece.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that very strategically.
Yeah, that's good art. That leads your eye through it.
Yeah, so I'm really doing that. And the other fun thing that we're doing is I have a tripod set up, and whenever I work on this piece, I hit the play button, and eventually we'll have a fast action of, you know how they do like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they have the whole piece built. So we'll have
The last tall piece that we did,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I actually have some progress of a layer at a time for maybe a third of the way up or something.
well, let's put that into a fast action.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing, I don't know, maybe you can do a still of this if you haven't already, of this wall. Actually, let's keep shooting, and then I want to stop and talk on this. I'll talk to this wall.
You're so
But
darn
maybe you
organized.
can circle around to here. So I started a wall of samples of everything I'm printing now.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes from, whites into different color groups, and it helps me think visually. So I look at this wall and I'm like, oh, we need more red, or I need something more peachy. So it helps me make decisions about what we should be printing next, when I
Wow.
can see it all at once.
I should be so organized.
Don't forget, I was a CEO.
Okay.
I have a set of skills that most artists
Yeah,
just
that's
never
right.
got their hands on.
Yeah, you have a little more balance between left brain and right brain.
It's true. I always say I'm hemispherically balanced.
Well, I worked as a draftsman for many years.
Well, and you have
so I have to have a
many
bit
different,
of, yeah.
so many different skill sets, and I call them toolboxes.
Yeah,
And they all come in handy.
sure do.
I'm a big spreadsheet person. I do a lot of planning. Speaking of planning, we're going to do a cut now, and we're going to turn around and look at this wall. So I wanted to show you, I'm preparing for this really big show in Guadalajara,
Yes.
which will have a lot more information coming out, but it's going to be in February 2022.
Yes.
So it's just under a year now.
And that goes so fast.
It goes so fast. So
all
I
this
was
big work.
nervous about, can I get it all done? There's so much that's planned. I mean, a gallery is one thing, a museum, it's like huge. And I was like, oh my God, where's all this work going to come from? So Sandra and I created this whole wall. This is every month between now and the show opening. And what we did is we color coded, everything blue has to do with the vessels.
Oh, great.
Okay? Everything, let's see, pink has to do with a tile project that we're planning to do. We're going to make a quilt out of tiles. It's really fun. You looked at the bird cage design earlier?
Yes.
Here's other the green is like sculptural stuff. That we're doing,
Okay.
separate from the vessels.
Yes.
So, and then each month we move, we cross off if we did it,
Yep.
and then if we haven't done it, we start to move it down.
Yep.
But as you can see, there's time, and that's the most important thing. I couldn't keep it all in my head. I was like, are we really going to do this? I was like, let's break it down. What do we have to make?
Yes.
And now I can see, well, I didn't get a bunch of stuff done. I'm going to move this here, but there's plenty of room
Yeah.
to slowly, get everything done. And that's all I needed to know to kind of push my anxiety down. So I guess my advice to anyone who's planning a big project, it doesn't have to be this big, but like say you're getting ready for anything, a show in town or a publication, you have a deadline, break it down into little
Yeah,
baby
and
steps.
I teach my paper mache occasionally, and so
Exactly.
many people are like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. And I say, I break it down in such small steps. You can do each small step.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that, I think, to me, is the secret of everything.
Sure.
People are like, how do you do all this big work? I didn't plan to, first of all, work evolves over time as you're working. It has a life of its own.
Yes.
That's
right.
you know that.
Oh yeah, I've started sculpting one thing and it comes out something totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's like having a kid. You have the kid, but they become their own person, and then you lose control over that. So, but I thought this was really helpful, a big visual map of what we're going to do this year.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I can breathe. Everything's going to get done.
We have so many things we'll need to get into this video.
I know, there's so many details.
Yeah.
Cut whatever you need to.
Yeah, all right. Meanwhile, I'll just stand here and you can talk to me and the camera at the same time.
Well, I wanted to go back and show you a little bit about the sequence of how we get to the feathers.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, I draw pictures of endangered birds.
Right.
I do research about them and I draw them. So that's one big step, and I'm constantly doing those drawings. Then in order to make the silk screens, we take the drawings and we kind of crunch them into something a little more solid and graphic. And then Sandra works with me to make like what looks like an all-over pattern. What I think is hilarious is that I was a wallpaper designer.
Yes.
Here we go again. You know what I always think? And this is relevant to what we were talking about earlier in terms of really like going, what are your dreams? Because a lot of us have had dreams since we're children.
Sure.
That we haven't really realized.
I always wanted to be an artist, but I thought, well, I never really went to art school and had formal art training, so how will I ever call myself an artist?
Right. And I had trade school training. That's it. I don't have a college background. I went to trade school for a year to learn design and
Well, and I did go to school for interior design, but in my adult years.
Mm-hmm. So one point is that education is not a prerequisite to necessarily.
Right.
And not everyone has the privilege of going to college. I didn't, but that hasn't gotten in my way. I haven't let it get in my way.
No, I was married early and had 2 children and all that. So, and I was fortunate I had a good job in engineering with a power company, making good money, good benefits. So that's where I had to be. Yeah.
And we all have to make those sacrifices, and we have different chapters in our life.
Yeah.
But we're focusing on this chapter
That's
of our
right.
life, So we take the drawings and they get distilled into these graphic images. And then these are sent to a shop in Guadalajara that makes the silk screens that we use. And I also wanted to show you, this is an example of one of the, I don't know if you can see it, of one of the endangered languages. This is a Mayan endangered language called Silke. And then from those we make the silk screens, and with the silk screens we make the pages.
Yes.
And usually we actually print on both sides, so we don't waste anything. I might want this side.
Right.
And then we cut out, if we're using feathers like we did on the long sinuous piece or on the vessel, we cut them out with a template. So then we have the feathers.
Right.
And then of course I have to store the feathers.
And that's what I really want you to show. That's pretty fascinating. That's your painter's palette again down
This
here.
is my painter's
so
palette.
organized.
So it's a little neurotic, but it works for me. So just like a painter would have a palette with the different colors on their palette or in their little boxes, I have boxes that have different colors of feathers. Remember I said I print on both sides?
Yes.
Et voila. So this box has this, well, and this one's similar, but not exactly the same. So I have my labeling convention here. This side always has what's up in the box, what's showing. But this side has has the opposite side. So if, say, I'm doing something with oranges, I'm going to want these, but I'm going to want this side of it. So that way it's really easy, and I can take out a whole lot of feathers. And as you can see, I have feathers all over the table, but these are the colors that I'm working with right now, and I can just grab them.
Well, you must have 50 boxes of these things.
50? Well, I think we have a lot more than that.
Really?
But who's counting?
Yeah, that's right.